You know what? So since it's November and we're doing all the things about fears and everything, that is my biggest fear, is something taken out of context that I've said, and they just harp on that. And just be
Hey, what'd you say about minorities?
I will, no.
What?
No.
What? Oh my God.
You can't say that.
Greetings, spooky gamers, and welcome to General Game Gabbing, and welcome to Nope November. Today we have a very spooky topic, or, well, I'm gonna break the character, because to some this may be spooky, but here we are trying to prove if it actually is. But before I continue, joining me today is friends Chris, Jake, and Josh in all of their final form glory here. Mm-hmm. Especially that sword. Is that sword real?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Tempered steel. I bought it for Amazon.
Yeah. Oh, that is glorious. I love it. Other way around. There you go. Anyways, thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. No problem. I guess I'm here with you guys. Yeah, you didn't come to where I am. I came to where you are, but that's okay.
That's how important we are.
Exactly. I drove all the way to where they are to make sure to get this video done.
He was like, I want to wake up where you are.
Don't get him copyrighted.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. It's like the first
We can sing 10 seconds.
10 seconds?
I think 10 seconds.
Okay, that's cool. But keep going.
I don't know the rest of it.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yes, today's topic, we are trying to prove if one of the biggest horror game tropes is actually that scary. If you ever play a horror game, you will see this constantly, but the main question for today's video is... Today's question is, are jump scares actually scary?
See what I did there?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. We'll figure. I'll add something in later. So I'll start with that. I'll open with that question: are jump scares actually scary?
I guess that depends on your definition of scary, because is it a long-lasting stick with you scary? No, but it is in the moment. Scary.
It's like shock versus horror. I feel like those are two different things.
I don't think that jump scares are scary. I think they're scary enhancers. If it's a scary game, jump scare can be.
I agree with that. I was gonna make this cocktail baking analogy, but you just had a whole thing planned.
So I actually had a good conversation with a friend of mine. Shout out to Josh. Other Josh, not this Josh. Other Josh. We were talking about how some people's definition of horror is... My definition of horror is getting a little bit mixed right now, because let's say I'm playing a game, I walk into a room and there's a dead body missing a head or an arm or something. To me that's that's just every other horror game. That's a walk in the park. But to some people, that could be the most terrifying thing on the face of the planet for them. But there's something about jump scares that just gets everyone. It doesn't have to be something scary looking. I mean, heck, Scott Cawthon. Cawthorn, is it?
I don't know. I think so.
Cawthorn?
I'm pretty sure it's Cawthorn.
Scott, my man Scott, made an entire game where the premise is you preventing yourself from getting jump scared. And that was the equivalent of the game. But so it's are jump scares themselves actually scary, or does it depend on what concept? On what's the word? Not concept. Context okay. They're being used in.
I'd agree with that, because I don't think FNAF's all that scary. These are the games themselves. The lore is up for debate. That's actually pretty deep. But I don't find, especially as I get, I'm not 12 anymore. Sorry, Jonah. Rick, sorry. I don't find them that scary anymore because they're it's not like a lasting fear. Like Mr. X is a lasting fear. Yes, Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 is a lasting fear. I never got FNAF like, oh, it's a second jump. Okay, now I'm back to playing the game.
Well, you have to restart the level.
Yeah, you die, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to that sucks. That's more scary than it's just restarting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I think the scary part of FNAF is this is specifically Security Breach. I played that a few months ago. Go watch his gameplay. Fire. I think the scary parts are like in the beginning where you have to avoid Chica who's eating garbage by attracting her to a different sound. I think that's the scary part, like the ominous stuff, and the daycare.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the daycare. No, my least favorite part in Security Breach is the section where you're crawling around with the endoskeletons and you're playing this red light, green light. How the endoskeletons work is when you're looking at them, they don't move, but when you turn away, they start creeping forward. So that to me is terrifying. What are you, Josh? You got any?
So for me, I think atmosphere is a lot like scarier than jump scare because here's the thing. I can get jump scared in Call of Duty by getting shot from a random spot. It's not horrific, it's not horror, and it's not staying with me for any duration of time. But it's that same, I didn't expect to die there.
That's actually a really good point. One of the games that may or may not pop up in November is it's called Hunt Showdown. And yes, there are monsters and zombies and little beasties that you have to fight, and that's scary. But while you're hunting other monsters, other hunters are going for the same big monster, so you have to fight them. I get jump scared more turning the corner and getting blasted in the face by. So a good way to kill a hunter is just having a shotgun. It's a shotgun is a really well balanced weapon in that game. The downside being is when you fire it, it's loud. So turning the corner and someone just unloading their Romero 7.7 into your chest, it's just a big, loud, jarring boom, and then it's like, oh, you're dead. So I think, I can't remember if we said something about atmosphere. So I think specifically with, in FNAF's terms, where is the same type of, rinse and repeat of you're in the room and you're trying to not get jump scared. I think what helps is that you know it's coming, and maybe not in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, but in 2 and 3 they did a good job of like making it a bit more unpredictable. But sometimes knowing that it's coming, it can just be as scary, and I think that's what helps it. But I want to move on to the second question. The second question is, so like jump scares, like I said, very essential part of a horror game. I think every single type of horror game, and some non-horror games, have a semblance of a jump scare. So the next question I want to ask is, are jump scares essential? Do jump scares have to be in a horror game, do you think?
I don't know if they're necessary, but they definitely help at points. There's some good, this is more movies, there's some really good horror movies that have like very few jump scares in it. Like, I'm bringing up Hereditary because I like that movie a lot. I like that movie. Had very, very few jump scares in it, but I know he hated it. It was terrifying, especially the last 20 minutes. So I don't think it's essential, but there's also some points, like to bring up Mr. X again, him punching through the wall and killing that reporter out of nowhere is terrifying, and it adds to his scare. So I'm thinking it's like seasoning, it's like spice, it's a flavor enhancer. Remember SpongeBob the sentence enhancers? Yeah. Yeah, it's an enhancer. It's not I guess it's not essential, but it helps.
So do you think that if a game is based purely on jump scares, that it kind of loses its flavor?
A great example of this, the dollhouse from Resident Evil Village.
The baby.
So what I'm thinking
we know
here
he loves the baby.
is So here's the thing. Should I not talk about the baby?
No, you can. I'll just add in. It took me 3 days to work up the courage to continue playing because. So here's the thing. So, in that aspect, or you know what? Finish your sentence, and then I'll finish. In case you're gonna, in case I steal what you were going to say, keep going.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the atmosphere in that house is horrifying. But it is enhanced by every time you see the baby, your heart rate elevates. So you have this tension, elevation, tension. And I think that that's where the jump scares come into play the most.
That was the Alien Isolation game was very much like that too, where the atmosphere of the dying ship adds a lot, and that's what makes it tense and scary. But the knowledge at any point this alien could jump out and scare the crap out of you also is part of it. It's like a it's like a dish. It's like seasoning.
But when I'm playing Five Nights at Freddy's, I know that the only thing they can do is pop up, restart. I feel like there's definitely a difference between that.
Jake, you got what? Are you, let me get your 2 cents in on this.
Yes.
Okay, all right, it's fine. So, go off of what Josh said. Atmosphere does really help play into it. Especially in Resident Evil 8. I guess a lot of people, I don't know, I guess from what I understood, like a lot of people have mixed feelings about number 8. My opinion is when you take the monster and make it sexy, then you lose the scare, then you lose the put those hands down, then you lose the scare factor.
And that's when I start playing.
But they did pull a genius move of, yes, you went to big vampire lady castle, but then you immediately go to the next spot. You immediately go to this dollhouse, which is a complete 180 flip of going from not really scary to downright PTSD trauma scary. It is so insanely good. Like, it's so out of pocket from like what you've originally experienced. It is like they did such a good job with it. So I can understand that some certain parts of the game is like, but otherwise, yeah, I think having a good build up to it is really important. Because I think, like you said, it's seasoning. Which actually brings me to the next question. A lot of like indie games, like this, just smaller ones that maybe you can beat in like 10 to 20 minutes, like shorter games like that. Not like a lot of stuff with like itch.io or whatnot, made by like small time people who are just trying their hand at it. One thing that I noticed with like those fan-made, I don't want to say fan-made games, although some of the Five Nights at Freddy's fan-made games are fantastic. But for those smaller games made by smaller developers or people just starting out, I noticed in the horror games, there's just an abundance of jump scares. Just at every corner, there's like a jump scare. And maybe you can see it coming, maybe not. But my next question is, for things like that, especially in games like that, they're just trying to get you to be scared. But do you think jump scares could be a lazy way of trying to scare you?
100%.
Yeah, for real.
Yes. At the same time, these aren't big budget studios, so they have a bit more of a pass than like if a Resident Evil game was entirely jump scaring, because they're an established franchise. And they've had their problems. They're an established franchise. So I view it less as a problem with them, but at some point it becomes like, you play a lot of these games, or like even Slender Man gets old after a while. They had to, they remade Slender Man and they actually put a lot of atmosphere in them. I'm not saying the first one didn't have it, but like they put a lot more in the remake that added to the scare factor, in my opinion.
Yeah. The thing for me is I will be scared of a character. I will be scared of him more if I think he could pop up anywhere, but only to a certain extent. Like, my heart rate won't jump anymore. And you'll get so used to the, like, game over screen or that surprise thing that you're just like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I even playing this game anymore?
Yeah.
I think that's probably like FNAF. I mean, everyone's going crazy, and it's a pretty spooky game. But you can only play it for 10 minutes when you're on night 7 and you die, and have to restart. Like that just turns to like anger.
Mm-hmm.
So, I actually haven't ever played it. I actually haven't played a FNAF game. Do you have to restart just the day or the whole week?
It depends on the game.
So depends on what.
My experience is my buddy behind me playing FNAF 4, the hardest mode for like 6 months and throwing his phone across the room when he died.
For FNAF 4.
The house.
The house. Oh, whew. So, okay, you know what? I'm gonna back up and defend FNAF 4.
I'll defend FNAF 4 too.
I will defend FNAF 4.
The house is spooky.
So
house is good.
The first few FNAF games, FNAF 3 actually specifically. So FNAF 1 and 2, maybe it's a little jump scares. The jump scares are a little cheap and they're happening whenever you die. FNAF 3 was a really not well received. I think a lot of people consider FNAF 3 to be the worst one, but don't quote me on that, because first of all, one animatronic that you have to manage, but one of the things that make that cheap jump scares is while you're going around, you have these phantoms that just jump scare you, like if you look at them or if you push the wrong button or whatever, and they just make your systems fail, but they don't kill you. But those phantoms hit you so often and without warning that at some point it's jarring, but it's like, it's more annoying than anything. Now, FNAF 4, with how the game works specifically, for those who don't know, FNAF 4 is a very auditory game where you have to pay attention to all sounds. What the main part of the game is, you have to run to the door and you have to listen. And if you hear breathing, you have to close the door. If you turn on your flashlight to look down the hallway while there's breathing, then you get jump scared. But sometimes the breathing is ever so slight, so you really got to listen in. And for that specifically, that's genius, because that brings in an atmosphere that is so eerie and creepy. And for that especially, when I watched Markiplier play it, he had his volume turned up all the way, and that's what everyone does, because you want to listen for the breathing. Heaven forbid you get it wrong, because not only do you get jump scared, you have your volume turned up all the way, and it's just goodbye eardrums.
Yeah. That reminds me of a game called The Dark Web. You played that one?
I haven't. It sounds familiar.
You play as a guy on the dark web, like you do.
Keep going.
You're looking. The plot of that. At least I think the first one is you're looking for like a red room, which it's on. Well, I don't even know if people do this. You'll kidnap someone and you'll stream it, and you'll call that a red room. He's looking for one, but along the way, he's a silly goose and he starts getting tracked. And so you have to listen for if you hear people kind of coming in trying to be fancy, the game turns your mic on, so you have to shut. You yourself have to shut up while you listen for the footsteps walking by.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then
So I think with that game specifically, I do remember that game. I think it's called Welcome to the Dark Web.
Something like that.
Welcome to the Dark Web, something like that. So that game specifically is eerily quiet. There's no music or that little, the atmospheric drone.
Yeah.
It is dead quiet, and any sound could be like someone trying to break in or just a normal thing. And I think it's actually timed. So you are trying to look for a code to get to the red rooms, because I think you're a police officer or whatnot, and you're trying to find this person. So you're trying to get into the red room to see if you can trace it, but you have to shift through all these other dark web places, which I don't even think I can say it without getting strike, because there's a lot of really creepy. I think the tamest thing that I can say is one of the sites you have to read the sites, because there might be like a typo that could be a code and you have to select it and save it, or something like that, or like a little one of the, like a design is like, oh wait, that's a code right there, or things like that. So you have to actually like read / scan through these different sites, and like the tamest, this is the tamest thing that I can say without getting is a site selling human flesh for those interesting types of cooks. But yeah, all of that combined, that atmosphere is, and like that like it creates this scary atmosphere, and you have to pay attention. And the unfortunate thing is, like, if you don't pay attention or if you don't make it in time, you're gonna get jump scared and then you die and you have to restart it, and that is a long game. It's a long thing to try to pick up to. Anyways, sorry, tangent.
That brings me to something that I was thinking. Is it the jump scare that's scary, or is it everything leading up to the jump scare that makes it really scary?
And that partially leads to my next question. I think the last one that I have was, I can't remember. I asked, are jump scares cheap? Are jump scares scary? Are jump scares essential for a horror game? And then, do jump scares make a horror game scary?
If I were to make a list, if I'm going to list out everything that makes a horror game scary, jump scares are going to be real low. Audio is going to be way higher up on my scale, like we were just talking about.
And I think like the most iconic. Oh, do I want to say the most iconic? Bash me or not, the most iconic jump scare sound is the animatronic scream from Five Nights at Freddy's. That sound. I actually made it a soundboard button on my Discord server. So me and my friends have been playing Phasmophobia a lot. So I'd be just chilling. I just pull up Discord and I would just tap it. So, and I saved both the Five Nights of the animatronic scream and then the music box sound. The do 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 do, that one. Anyways, but yeah, no. Does a jump scare actually make a horror game scary?
Not by itself.
Yes.
Like, okay, here's what I'm gonna say about going back to the Phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And what I was saying about that is, like, you know, at the end of Ocarina of Time when you're running down the falling down castle, and there's that
Spoilers, but yeah.
and there's that one re-dead on the bridge. That's supposed to be like a jump scare. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
I think re-deads are a good example of this. They just make me angry.
They just make me angry. Josh is going through the Temple of the Dead. He sees a re-dead. He just gets like Hulk rage. He's like, stupid friggin' re-dead.
Yeah, exactly. Cause like here I am. I'm like, I got 30 seconds to make it out of this castle, and then you get stun locked.
And especially if they reach you and you have to mash your buttons to get out of its grip. Okay,
it's not scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. For me, jump scares are definitely very low on the list of scare.
Mm-hmm.
I would put them a little higher than you because I think there's some really good ones. Back to Hereditary, there's a really good audio one where the lady snaps a piano wire and they use it as like a sound cue, and then she brings the piano wire. I don't want to get Jonah banned off the YouTube, but she does something with the piano wire that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
I
But
hate that movie.
sorry, I really like that movie. Where's I going? Jump scares are a good 1 or 2 time thing that I think work well for the first or second time playing the game. So if your game is based off like a Resident Evil game, long story, kind of a 1 and done, maybe 2 and done game, jump scares work well in that because, you know, it's a one-time thing. You do it sparingly, you're not going to expect it. It's like adding salt or pepper to a dish.
And also it's going to make your game replayable if you don't have too many.
That's where I'm going with the second one. If your goal is to have a game like a Call of Duty-ish or a replayable game, if all you do is rely on jump scares, you're kind of screwing yourself because people are going to realize it's going to get old after a while. There's a reason FNAF ditched the jump scare formula. There's a reason that Slenderman they're not making those games anymore, because at some point just the wonder of the spookiness of getting jumped constantly is kind of worn off. Like, yeah, you'll get a start, but it's like, oh, not like the Mr. X punching through a wall and killing the reporter. At least in my opinion.
Actually, I think I've partially changed my opinion. I think that you do need jump scares in a game. That it can't be just jump scares, but I think that FNAF is a little much. But I think that, and Slenderman is a little much too. But I think that a healthy amount of jump scares is actually upwards as long as you have a good game. Like, I think
So you're saying is that it's less the form, because I mean, you hit a horror game, you need horror tropes in it basically.
Yeah.
But it's less a form of basically. Where am I going with this? What matters less is the form of horror and more the quality of the game itself.
Yeah. And I think jump scares
It's like salt. You
it's so, but I think it's like maybe like the dish, because well, yes.
No, the dish is the game.
Well, no, the game is the food. The presentation is the game, which is the food. But then the jump scare is presented nicely. Here's a nice horror game.
Okay.
What? We're doing this whole food analogy.
The food analogy thing works if you're using it like salt and pepper. You use it sparingly, but you do it adds a lot to a dish. I'm sure everyone's had over-salted and under-salted bland dishes. You need to have that right consistency for you to have good food. It's like that with horror. You can have games that maybe could use a jump scare or two just to add some long drawn out part. Even the Batman Arkham games have jump scares.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Even the Batman games have jump scares. So there's long parts of long hallways where you got to go there and they got to add something to it. There's also games that just rely on it too much. We keep saying FNAF. FNAF is built off jump scares, so it's hard to say they rely on it too much. But there are certain games and movies, I can't think of any off the top of my head, that rely way too much on just spooking you with jump scares when it's not the core aspect of the game or movie. And those are over-salted dish, go lick a thing of salt. You'll understand what I'm saying. You need to have that right, Salt Bae.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have that right. He's a weirdo. But you need to have that right consistency of, the salt, the pepper, all that stuff to have a good chicken dish or whatever.
All right.
But maybe it's less like salt and more like the A1 sauce of a steak.
Sure.
Maybe,
Sure, I don't like A1,
maybe
so I don't know.
You just need that coating of the jump scare.
It's almost like that's exactly what I was trying to say.
I don't think we need to figure out which sauce or seasoning the jump scare is, but we can agree that in certain games, certain aspects, you can jump scares might be essential for it. Although
Like mayonnaise on cheese.
Mayonnaise.
No, because mayonnaise isn't. Nope.
Although
all I'm trying to say is mayonnaise is an instrument.
I have a video to show you later of someone literally making a song with mayonnaise as the different sound effects. It's good. Although, when it comes to seasonings and whatnot and making a dish, sometimes you can use a substitute. I have played probably, oh gosh, what was it called? Markiplier played this game called it's Don't Go Out or Stay Home or something like that.
Don't Starve?
No, not Don't Starve. It was a basically analogy of someone who has depression trying to get up, the motivation of getting up and going outside and actually making it outside to start his day. But in the analogy of his house, there's all these different things trying to kill him, which is just different analogies of him wanting to stay home. And But in that game, a lot of it is just explained in text. There are sound, there is a couple visuals, but no jump scares. It's just the guy walking through the house and you see something creepy, but it's not. It's a side scroller, so like you see it coming, you see it up ahead, but it's not like you go into the next room and it's like boom, it's right there. Instead of what it does is with a text, it explains what happened or how your guy perished. There's no jump scares in said game, but it brings you a sense of fear and dread all on its own. I think it depends on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think certain games could use jump scares. It's a good option, but you can use substitutes because I mean, there's all these different things: atmosphere, audio, visual. Heck, I would love to see a silent horror game. I think there is, but like a game with no sound or anything, and that alone would be terrifying. Like maybe you're playing like a deaf person, the silence would just be absolutely terrifying. Like you don't even need jump scares because you can't hear anything. Maybe you can use jump scares. Maybe it's a you have to like look for visual cue of like you're exploring this area and you have to look for visual cues that the monster is ahead or behind of you. You have to look for scrapes and you have to like figure out, okay, the scrapes are going this way, so the monster is behind me, not in front of me, things like that. And maybe you can have jump scares or maybe you can't. But like in making a dish, you can use one seasoning or another and you have substitutes.
Yes.
Video
Yeah.
sponsored
Not
by
every-
HelloFresh.
Video
sponsored by HelloFresh.
Bringing back the food analogy, not every dish needs salt, like you were saying.
Yeah.
They can, no, because you put salt in cookies.
Lobster.
Lobster.
Yes, lobster.
Yeah. Naturally salty.
Yes. So you don't need more salt to it, whatever, because your core food already has what it needs in it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to put more salt and pepper on it to make it taste good. You need to put some butter on it, but
Yeah.
that's like some other stuff.
Unsalted butter. All right. So, any final thoughts or comments?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, you wouldn't put cinnamon on a steak.
Oh gosh.
So maybe it's more the type of.
Actually, you know what? If I was doing like kind of like a honey baked ham type of deal with like a brown sugar type of flavoring, so like it's like a sweet steak, maybe I would use cinnamon.
Alright, food video coming up.
The food video coming up. Some people have been requesting food videos of me doing a food video.
Awesome.
I know.
I hate ham, so we won't do that. We'll do something else.
Unless I want to do the rum ham from
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Always Sunny in
Oh my
Philadelphia.
gosh, rum. Oh my gosh, and milk.
Where's the rum ham?
And
Okay.
milkshake.
Anyways, sorry. Keep going, Jake.
Alright. Maybe it's the type of jump scare that makes the game scary. Now, FNAF probably gets old because it's the same stupid animatronic going like, whoa, on your screen.
Oh, you
like,
call Freddy Fazbear stupid?
well, no.
I will. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. I will say they do a good job of not number 2, but 3, 4, Simulator, and Sister Location. They are different animatronics, and they do improve upon them. FNAF 4 are Scott made the most beautifully scary animatronics, and then maybe we dumped it back a little bit in Security Breach, but then you think that, and then you shatter the robots when you're harvesting for the parts, and then the scary factor just jumps back up there. So it's not the exact same animatronic, but it is the similar type of formula.
Now what I'd say is. Actually, I might bring up
I broke him.
I might bring up a different game. I don't know what it's called. But it's about this little girl who got this weird rabbit, like toy rabbit from her weird kind of creepy grandmother who died. It's a 2D side scroller.
Oh my gosh.
Did you play this game?
Hobby, something Playhouse.
Poppy's Playhouse?
Hobby's Playhouse? Is that it?
No,
That's not the
you're,
game,
you're thinking Poppy or whatever it's called. Yeah.
No. It's because it's a stuffed animal that's like it's a stuffed rabbit that's possessed and it's like chases you. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's Hoppy something. Anyway, sorry.
Hoppy, I think.
Yeah.
I saw Map play it. Yeah, look it up.
Yeah. Because I love that's keep going because that actually might tie in really well. Keep going.
Now, I think the type, because you would think that a weird rabbit that walks into frame, like in the background, isn't that scary, but it is because you're like, it's again added with the atmosphere. Like I'm in this creepy house, my parents are dead, bloodily, and you just walk into the kitchen and you just see this rabbit standing there menacingly, but and he just walks into frame. That's like whoa, that's like a jump scare. But if the rabbit was like, whoa, on the screen and then started walking into frame, I think that'd be like, okay.
Okay. So the type of jump scare is really
Yeah.
important. Like so you don't really need to be up in your face, that type of deal. But I mean, there's different forms, and each form can be like add a different type of element of terrifying to it. Josh, any last thoughts?
My final thought would be, I think the best way to do a jump scare would be if you're gonna elevate a heart rate like that, with a jump scare you need to put your foot on the gas for the next like 5 or 10 minutes of gameplay to make sure it stays at that level. Like instead of that like and then it's right back down, like that spiking down. I'd want it to spike, stay there, so you're like I feel like that's what's good about the baby part of Resident Evil is like you get the jump scare and then it stays that elevated and then it goes down for some falling action. I think that is probably the best way.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay. So going back to the original question to close the episode, are jump scares scary?
Depends.
I would
Yes.
say not in and of themselves, but they have to be paired with something else to make it scary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
I'll second that. Not whatever you just said.
What he said.
On its own,
rewind to
no.
what you said.
Yeah, on its own, no.
I'd
Yeah,
argue that a jump scare could be scary. So, yeah, see.
It's a little scary.
See? But like, I'm not
It's
a horror.
a horror video now, Jake, right?
Yeah.
What was that? Oh yeah, no. But that our jump scare is scary. Yes. Do they kind of if ruin a game sometimes? Also yes. But even on their own, like that kind of scared you. Oh.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
See, I think it was weighted. I think we were
Okay.
waiting.
You know why?
We're telling you.
Chris
Chris
did
just
it.
did it. Okay.
Because Chris just
But
did it.
jump scares
Ah!
It's like
It's
like
shocking.
salt on its own is really bad, but once you add it to certain
But
things,
it's
it makes it good.
strong on its own. But I'm just arguing
But it
that
doesn't
it is
good on
but
its
it
own.
is scary still
I know.
on its own.
It's shocking on its own,
Yeah.
not scary on its own.
No. Like if I walk into a dark room and then I don't know Chris is there and I turn on the light and he's just standing there.
But what makes it
menacing.
scary, Chris or the dark room?
But
if you walked in, if you walked into a light room and you saw me there, would you be scared?
Yeah, actually, I
No,
kind
you'd
of
be
would.
shocked. You would.
But if
not
I
be-
see Chris in my room on my bed
What's
and
he
I walk
doing
in,
there? What's he
yeah,
doing?
let's see what
Yeah.
you do with it. But if you walk out of a bathroom and I'm the lit hallway, you walk out of the bathroom, you turn to see me, and you see me like,
I'm
whoa.
shocked, but not scared.
Yeah, I am shocked.
No?
So
You jump.
I think I understand what you're saying, Jake. Chris, we're gonna go to you brought up Hereditary. There are a couple scenes in Hereditary where the camera's following the person, following there's a person in the main screen, and then in the background there's just not that part. They're walking around their house, and in the background there's just a creepy grinning person just standing there menacingly. Not a jump scare, not a thing. This person's just walking around vibing, and as the camera's following them, you just see it in the background, and that's just unnerving and everything. It's not necessarily a jump scare. You could argue that is, but it's not like a typical like in your face jump, but it is something that catches you off guard and just unhinges and unnerves you.
what you're talking what the scene that I think of when you talk about that in Hereditary is the kid in the last like 25 minutes of the movie. He gets out from bed and the mother's hanging on the wall. Like she got her hands and she's staring at him all crazy and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the scene with the piano wire was also kind of like that.
I don't know. I actually don't know what you're talking about, but I'm afraid to
Did you
Google
finish the
it.
movie?
I never watched it.
Don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. You should watch it.
So I haven't gotten into horror movies yet. 5 Nights at Freddy's gonna be my introduction to them. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. I watched the Evil Dead movies,
Oh, I
but
haven't
you know
seen
that's 80s horror, which
It's
is
also like horror comedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the new one.
the first one. No, not really. Second one leaned into it, and then actually there's gonna be another video about. I don't know when this is released. Maybe it's already out, but there's gonna be another video talking about the evil Army of Darkness movie. But anyways, thank you everybody for joining us in this delightfully spooky discussion. As always, that's the wrong jump. Hopefully you all will enjoy this conversation and agree or disagree. Whatever, we're the professionals. The comments. State your piece. Make your claim. Put in your 2 cents. Make your argument. Otherwise, but we are all very experienced gamers here. Some more than others. Anyways, as always, I am rikquasar. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. And this has been myself, Josh, Jake, and Chris.
Of ignorant commentary.
Of Ignorant Commentary.
I'm actually not in that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you can be sometimes.
Yeah, I'll
Jake and I
guess
have plans
those.
for you.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
but anyway.
Oh, no.
Anyways, all of you have a good night. And always, as always, get ready to say no once again.